Okay, we're live on YouTube. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We are so honored to have with us today Louis Herms. And a lot of you, I'm sure, know Louis. He's actually the creator of Big Gov, the Truth Tour, and the Truth-a-Thon. He's known for his films Watch the Water, which is about deuterium. It's the original Watch the Water. And we're going to talk a little bit about the deuterium today. Louis believes in unity, transparency, and authenticity in the truther community. That's why he organized the Truth-a-Thon and the Truth Tour. And Louis answers to God and we the people, and that's it. He's an amazing person. We're so honored to be part of his coalition to fight evil in this world. So welcome, Louis.
Wow. You wrote my bio for me. I like that. That was pretty dead on. Thank you very much. I see a head there. Oh, that's Charlie. Hi, Charlie.
Yep. Hey, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic, folks. I appreciate the fact that you give me a platform to speak. I think that's very awesome. And both of you on the Truth Tour had fantastic energy and information. So let's do this.
Yes, okay. Yes. I love that the Truth Tour had so much diversity.
Yeah, that was my goal from the beginning is, and you probably heard me say this before, is I, Louis, am not the arbiter of truth. It's not for me to determine what somebody resonates with and what they don't resonate with. So I thought it'd be best to bring as many different values and principles and mindsets together, because somebody can get just as much out of a Christian speaker as they can that somebody that's talking about pyramids or energies, or somebody that's just talking political or MAGA, you know what I mean, or data. There's something there for everybody. You can get a little bit from everybody, and I think I see our future as a very large community of different views that are all getting along together. So I figured what better way to do that than bring them all together on the Truth Tour. And we might as well start, because as you know, I nicknamed it the Transition to Greatness, and I think that's part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And there was so much, not even a lot, but there was some of us speakers had conflicting information, but that's what the Truth Tour is about. It's trying to figure out what the real truth is and seeing all the different versions that everyone else is gathering. But just the fact that these people are dedicated to gathering information, that's one of the biggest things.
Yeah, and you could have conflicting information, but if you're open to have a discussion, sometimes you'll pull something from somebody else's view, and then your information gets honed in and more clear. So it's very important for us to get as many people together as possible with diverse opinions. That's a great thing.
Yeah, and to calmly talk and sit and discuss it like adults, not throw a fit like a little child and, you're wrong, you're complete, this is what I've learned. Well, did you experience that for yourself? Because that's what it's about. We can't prove anything unless we've experienced it for ourselves. Yeah. It doesn't matter how much you research. You can prove you're right or you're wrong, whether you research or not,
I'd 100% agree with you for sure. We're absolutely sure.
Yeah,
A classic example of what you're talking about. I was on with someone recently doing an interview, and that person was not necessarily in agreement with, for example, flat Earth. Although it's another topic that seems to have been taken out of our educational system and so forth. But we agreed to discuss that at a future time, and that was really the best way to do it, because neither one of us were prepared to talk about it that day. But this person wasn't necessarily sure that they believed in that, and I said that's fine. None of us have all the truth or a patent on the truth, but let's have a discussion on that. And that's the way I think it should be for all of us and for all of these topics. And
agreed. I have fun with globies and flat earthers, because I tell them I don't think there's a flat earth or a globe.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure either, but I know that there's a lot of arguments on both sides that seem to make a lot of sense. So that's why we should have an honest discussion on all of these topics.
And I love having a discussion on those topics.
Yeah. I mean, so Could you tell us a little bit about Truth Tour 2, how it's going to be perhaps different or improved from Truth Tour 1, so people can get an idea of what they can expect?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank my amazing crew and everybody that travels with me. And the good news for them, it's going to be a lot easier on them this time because it's the same length, but I've taken 5 cities off the schedule. So instead of 22, we're doing 17. We've given a lot of downtime and easier travel time. Instead of traveling at night, we're now the tours will be earlier and we'll travel during the day. We'll travel during the day. Try to make most of them Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, only a couple during the middle of the week. So I made a lot of adjustments, but I knew when we did the first one, if I was going to do a second one, this would be a proving ground anyways.
Sure.
And I was very open with everybody that this is going to be a tough road. You know, Lisa hit the toughest part, unfortunately for her. But we've really honed in our crew. The stops are going to be amazing. The energy on this one is a whole nother level already. So we're very, very excited about that. We're going to have a lot of fun too. In fact, I was just talking, well, via WhatsApp, but I was talking to Mark Atwood this morning, and just traveling with us on every stop, we're going to have Mark Atwood, and we're going to have Bruce Poppy, and we're going to have Derek Johnson at every single stop. Jason Q's going to be at every stop. Tom Numbers is going to be there. So we're going to be having a nice caravan, and we're going to do a lot of fun things to keep the energy high. Because the one thing I want to drive home this time a little bit more is how ripple effect is very important, where one people can infuse a nice positive energy into somebody's life, and that ripple effect can just be extraordinary. So if we're on the whole Truth Tour, we're trying to have a really good time and keep our energies very, very high and positive. I think that's going to have a massive, massive effect worldwide.
Yes, for sure. That's awesome. That's amazing, everyone. And I didn't realize Mark was going to be here. I thought he was going to be live this time, like live streaming, but he's going to be here.
Oh yeah, he's flying over. In fact, the only thing that may be stopping him flying over is I'm his sponsor. So when they read that, they may say no go, but we'll see what happens.
So now are you saying Mark is planning on being on all of the tour?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
from start to finish. Oh my goodness,
start to finish.
Fantastic.
We have a full film crew, like 3 or 4 guys. Yeah. That's the big. Excuse me, big deal.
Okay.
Security
awesome.
team, the whole thing.
Oh, awesome. That's what Charlie was like, because everyone knows I got sick halfway through. I was supposed to go on the last Truth Tour for 6 days, and I ended up getting sick on day 3. I had to hunker down in a hotel and quarantine for a couple of days before I was able to fly home. But Charlie spent 5 days on the tour, and he was exhausted just after that. You guys were so exhausted when we joined you because it was just back to back to back nonstop. So I'm glad you're taking a break.
We had a stint when there's 11 days straight, but we understood it was more like a boot camp kind of this one. And so that this one, I mean, we're going to stay in much better hotels. Sorry, Lisa.
Yeah, one time I got lit up by bed bugs at a hotel.
Yeah,
it wasn't a trashy hotel. It was nice, actually.
Right. Those are no extra charge, by the way.
Apparently. Oh, goodness.
So
well, I feel like my job was done because when I travel, I swear by colloidal silver. And I brought my colloidal silver with me because I knew I'd probably get sick, but I gave it to all you guys so you wouldn't get sick. So I saved you, and then, pretty much.
You did. I remember taking your colloidal silver. Yes. I took some of Christopher Key's stuff, not his urine, thank God.
Oh God.
But that's an inside joke if anybody doesn't know. Sorry about that.
No, that's right. Now, is there going to be anything different on Truth Tour 2, given the fact that we are approaching the elections? Is there going to be any sort of specific orientation of the tour to the upcoming elections?
No, the only different thing it's going to be is each one's going to be a little bit longer, so we're going to have more content for everybody there, which is nice. More relaxing for sure. We are, though, in fact, anybody watching this, we are open and inviting anybody that wants to have some form of a political message, like if they're running for office in
Yep.
the locations that we are, they have an open invitation to come and speak.
Oh, okay,
Because
fantastic.
we want to have an opportunity, and and as people know, I will be open with them too. If I think they're pining bullshit, I will call them out right there in front of everybody. So they have to know ahead of time. They may want to bring a cohesive, honest message.
Sure.
Very nice.
A lot of
Well,
people ask me how you go about picking the cities you go to on your tour.
Well, this one was a little different. Excuse me. On the first tour, we heard, even though I did my best to try to get as many places as possible, as you know, we have a lot of people say, "Oh, why didn't you come here? Why didn't you come here?" Or "You're afraid to come here. Are you just afraid to come here?" Or, no, the biggest one was no tours ever come to my city. And they're talking about, the New Yorks and so on and so forth. So what I did is I said, okay, let me at least go in or near what we call the forbidden cities.
Okay.
So I kind of call this the forbidden journey for fun. So we're going to start in Sacramento, and then we're going to go up to Oregon and Washington. And Cheyenne, Wyoming is not a forbidden city, but we just have such a long drive between Washington and St. Paul, Minnesota, that we decided to stop in Cheyenne.
Sure.
And then from there, we're going to go into Illinois, Bloomington, Illinois, Evansville, Indiana, because it's right next to Kentucky. And then we're going to head right up to Lansing, Michigan. And then we get crazy, and we're going right into Brooklyn.
Yeah.
We're going into Boston, and we're going to go into Lakewood, New Jersey, Charleston, South Carolina, and then hop down to Tampa. I like to say, go to where Elvis lives in Benton, Arkansas. And then if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, go research Pastor Bob Joyce. And then we're going to go to Lubbock, Texas, Tucson, Arizona, and then we call it Los Angeles, but actually the hotel's in Anaheim. So Anaheim, California. So that's a big deal. That's a whole huge 2-day event, mega event. We'll have a band playing, just absolutely incredible time.
Fantastic.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
That sounds wonderful. So just a little bit more, I wanted to touch on the Truth Tour too. I know that tickets are $49 if you want to go to the live event. So if you want to go and see all these people, Mark Atwood, Jason Q, Michael Jaco, there's different people usually at different events as well. That's a great
you name it,
cost.
they're there. Like Juano Saban's closing out our LA event. Nino Rodriguez is going to be in Tucson. Mickey Klon, I believe, is in Tucson. We've got two of my favorites, Laura Worley and Kathy O'Brien, are on different stops. I mean, have an absolute amazing cast of people coming in, and a lot of people you haven't heard of. And I hope people don't dismiss the people you haven't heard of, because I can tell you some of the most incredible information and speeches we had on Truth Tour 1 were from people that were unknown.
Sure.
So if you
Well, that's what I said when I was like, I don't know how I got here, but I am so honored to be here, because nobody knew who I was,
But you did fantastic,
Well,
right?
thank you.
And that's the beauty is I've always believed from the beginning of this is there's no fame in this thing, right? We are all we the people, and everybody's message is important. And you resonated, and so did Charlie, with a lot of people. So that's what matters, right?
Yes. And that's what I said. The diversity between everybody is amazing. You have, it's not just truthers. There's medical experts, spiritualists like myself, data people, what else? Self-sustainable experts. You have local patriots, like you said, state nationalists like Ben Barlow. I want to learn how to reclaim my sovereignty, like that as well. So there's so many things. It's just going to get your mind spinning, and but it's going to be a place where you can always go to learn more and not be made fun of. for wanting to learn more. And, it's a safe place for patriots, really.
Well, one of the biggest things that I hear, which I love, is they were shocked how they kind of communed with other people in the audience, which was beautiful. So I don't know how many stories I've heard is I thought I was on an island. I never thought anybody in my area thought the way I did. And they were exchanging phone numbers, and now people are texting each other and having lunches with each other. And that's just fantastic. I've never seen so many smiles, laughter, and tears than I saw on the first tour. And I have expectations it'll be the same way on this one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah. Well, in Tennessee, out of all places, Nashville, Tennessee, I talked about a very controversial topic. We're in the Bible Belt. So I talked about how to communicate with spirits. And I thought I'd have some backlash from that. Was the busiest event that I attended with you. And there was probably about 50 to 60 people there, and they loved it. They loved it. There was so much good feedback afterwards. It was just amazing.
Yep. Yeah. It was amazing.
So, Louis, I know there's some other topics that you also wanted to talk about today over and above, the tour itself. So I didn't know if you wanted to launch into some of that at this point.
Well, I have nothing in specific. There's just so much going on. And I feel personally, I've just been called to do this for some reason. I don't know what it is. You know what I mean?
I don't know why I'm doing what I'm doing either, Louis.
Right. So I've never would have, a few years ago, I would have said there's no way, I was running construction companies and doing things, that should have been a lot more lucrative. It's certainly not lucrative what I do now, but
it is too.
Yeah, it is. It emotionally, and it is not in the pocketbook, but that doesn't matter anymore. And it's funny. There was a time and place where that did matter.
Sure. Me too.
And now I just don't feel that. And I'm so excited to be in the place I am today. And if I can help, we can help. And, we've talked about the ripple effect. If you can help one person, and that one person helps another. And,
yeah.
I am just excited to be where we are today. And, I started out making films, and it transitioned to this. And frankly, I want to get back to making films. It's just, I have a couple in my head, and I have some people that want to collaborate with me, but this is what I'm doing right now.
Well, talking about your films, Louis, I want to touch a little bit on Watch the Water. Can you explain what that was about?
So, excuse me, I'm just getting over something. Watch the Water was, to me, proof of how things are destined. And it's very interesting. So my original, that I was one of the first persons, I don't know, that made a Watch the Water film. Now it's been kind of hijacked by the whole Venom thing, but mine was way before that. And what it was, it's called Watch the Water, Trump, Q, and Deuterium. And its main focus is actually deuterium. And what that is there is a hidden isotope that nobody's really known about that's in over 99% of our water worldwide, all the oceans, in virtually all the water. And it's a molecule that's actually, it's attached, an isotope that's attached to the hydrogen molecule. Mm-hmm. And what it does is it makes your water what's called heavy water. Right. So deuterium is in our water right around 155 parts per million, right? In order for us to be healthy and have the best longevity, life longevity, it needs to be somewhere under 120. Now, is there a necessity for it? There is. But I found out that I dug and dug and dug, and it's interesting that it's actually used to, they're using it, I believe it's in France, to fuel an energy producing machine that's supposed to change the world. So they're literally using the stuff that we drink to fuel as fuel. And it's one of the cleanest burning things that's out there. So what's interesting about it, though, and this is where I say it was destiny or divine, is I went on a tour to interview a bunch of people. Nick Alvera and I went out just to have fun and just to do interviews, not like a tour like we're doing now. And we were interviewing Michael Jaco and Rob Potter and some other things, other people, I should say, sorry. And I was introduced to a guy named Dr. Jerry Rivera Duhinia. Anyways, what's interesting about this is I walked in with our crew, and his assistant approached me. I think her name was Maddie. She's brilliant. And she just off the cuff said, "Hey, would you like some, DDW?" I go, "What? That's DDW." I had no idea. And she says, I think she says deuterium depleted water or something like that. And I go, "What? What are you talking about?" And then she kind of explained a little about what deuterium was. So I was a virgin to this. I had no idea. And then she said, doctor would know a lot more about this. So my interview is not supposed to be anything about that. It was supposed to be about Rasha technology and healing and through pulses and beautiful sounds and frequencies and base 12 and Tesla. It's supposed to be about everything else except deuterium. But I decided in the middle of the interview to ask him. So he explained about it, and it talked about how the scientists in Russia actually discovered this, and they're the ones actually helping heal the world with this, so on and so forth. And the more I research, by the way, not to regress, doesn't it seem like everything's going back to Russia?
It is. There's science.
That's what brought this topic to mind too, because he had mentioned that to me after my speech on the Truth-a-Thon.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's all going back. It's all going back to Russia. So when the cabal, the media, is screaming Russia, 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 well, it's because they're so afraid there's probably something good going on there or something they don't want us to know about. That's why they avoid the Antarctic conversation too. It's the same exact reason.
Sure.
But anyway, so the more I researched it, I was just very fascinated. And then I found connections, in my belief, between Trump and Q with what with Watch the Water. So therefore I made the film, and it went like mega viral. It's had millions of views. Unfortunately not on my channel, because it's been stolen, duplicated. People put their own logos on it, but when we tracked it down, it got millions of views. And
Sure.
It was probably one of the reasons why several of my YouTube channels got deleted, because it was a great disclosure. And I had some very, very prominent people in this movement, which I can't mention, but they called me and they said, "You are way ahead of time on this video." And I said, "Oh, interesting." So it wasn't me. I just got lucky, happens. That's why I say it had to be destined. Somebody wanted me to have the information. So,
well, I had not watched the Watch the Water video until you had mentioned it after the Truth-a-Thon. And then I started looking into it, and deuterium can be in any type of water. It can even be in the spring water that you think is healthy.
Even in your well water.
Yeah. And what it does, these are some of the things that I found that it does. It actually slows down energy production. It interferes with your mitochondrial function.
Yep.
It increases the production of free radicals, and it leads to chronic fatigue. And so if you can find deuterium-free water, what happens is it actually increases your glucose transporter expression, and it aids in glucose uptake. So it helps with diabetes. It helps you lose weight. It gives you more energy. It increases your memory, your cognition. It enhances production of neurotransmitters. It helps healing on pretty much every level just by getting rid of the deuterium. So what I discovered, I found a video by Dr. Jack Kruse. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. And he has a video on how to make your own deuterium free water, deuterium depleted water. And it's mainly just a process of freezing. You put the water in a bowl with a lid, put it in the freezer for 2 hours, and then it'll just make the shell of the outside freeze, which is the deuterium.
Right.
And then you
scrape that off. And well, here's why, because deuterium freezes at 31 degrees Fahrenheit and water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
So if you go into some places in the mountains of Tibet, right, and the average lifespan is like 110 to 120 years. And one of the reasons why is they're drinking deuterium depleted water.
Right.
Are they doing it on purpose? I don't know. But what they have found is when the water's running off these glaciers, right, the deuterium is freezing and it's depositing up top. So they're getting a deuterium depleted water. Now, deuterium free water is kind of a misnomer. We'll always have deuterium in it, but you want to get it down somewhere between 110 to 120 parts per million. So what I've been looking at lately is because I talk about this and I can't be a hypocrite. I need to live this life. So it's very hard to freeze it in that process you're talking about. It's tough. I even thought about inventing machines that can do it. We're going to get there. But in the meantime, I'm trying to create relationships with companies that make deuterium depleted water, because all you have to do is just bring it down. So if you mix that with your regular water, you can get those numbers down to where you need to, and it'll be extraordinarily cost savings.
Oh, what happened? Did we lose Charlie?
Yeah, I think you just lost Charlie. He'll have to come back on.
Okay.
So that's the best way to cost save, is just by mixing the two together, from what I have found. And I think the process is going to get easier and easier, and I think it's something we need to focus on. In fact, one of the films that I want to work on is Watch the Water 2, which actually will give solutions to this. But I'm going to incorporate something fun. Let me see if I have that book real quick. I'm going to jump off screen because I'm not professional at all.
You're fine.
See here.
Well, while you're looking at, what you reminded me of when you were talking about the glacial water and the people's living longer and stuff. There's a tribe in the Hunza Valley that Dr. Patrick Flanagan derived his Hunza water from. And it's the same thing. The women in their 70s are having babies. The men in their 80s are running down the buffalo and stuff still. Welcome back, Charlie.
Hey, Charlie.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
So the book I was looking for, it's from Dr. Emoto, and it talks about the sounds and how they affect water and so on and so forth. So I believe so what I'm going to do in the future film is I want to incorporate frequencies, sounds, healings, and solutions, and we can get to a place that I think is very, very exciting. But how cool is it that I was lucky enough to discover just one simple thing, that if we can really figure out the solution to that we can extraordinarily help the whole planet. I mean, that's pretty
sure.
Pretty cool. And I take no credit for it. I just happen to be at the right place at the right time. That and that's the way these things work out.
Yeah. What I was interested in doing were some research with the deuterium-free water. The deuterium-free water that I'm going to, depleted, because it is never totally free. But the water that I'm going to freeze myself, I'm going to get some regular deuterium depleted water from a company and compare it to the pyramid water as well. Because what we found with the pyramid and what the Russians found is when you put water inside, it just has miraculous properties afterwards. It removes toxins. So I wonder if what it would do to the deuterium.
Well, absolutely. I think that's a fantastic idea. Now, I did have Kelly from One Republic Network sent me some data. I haven't quite figured out the data, but she believes that the deuterium can be depleted through the Kangen type machines, that alkalize the water. So I'm going to have to go. I have to be very transparent. I just haven't had time to dig into the data, but when I dig into it, I'll see if there's something there too. But when I release Watch the Water 2, my goal is to have a lot of solutions for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I use one of those machines. It's not a Kangen machine. It's called a vitalizer. And so it's not a RO system. It just takes the clean water, runs it through a vortexing whirlpool with a mineral cube in it, and it structures the water. And it's all based on information that Dr. Gerald Pollack put together, that he wrote a book several years ago, The Fourth Phase of Water. And so, it may all tie together.
Yeah.
Those are amazingly great machines. We swear by them, and we don't drink anything but water that comes out of that vortexing machine.
I sincerely believe in the next few years, if our health communities spend 80 to 80% of their focus on how we can use the water to our benefits, I think we're there. I mean, the fact that we can recrystallize the water in a positive way, with beautiful symbolism, you know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
From Dr. Emoto.
Yep.
And the fact that this doctor you're talking about, and the the moving of the water in a certain way, and now actually adding sound frequency, we know also can help that, and then we can deuterium deplete the water. I just think it's going to be absolutely incredible, because our body's made up now, they're saying like almost 80% of water.
That's right.
So if that's the case, should that not be our main focus? I think it should be.
Well, that's right. I mean, water is the most important element in our body. It will retain and transmit it's the only element in our body that will transmit all of the frequency ranges inside of our body. So it is the key to health. There's absolutely no doubt about it. So
yeah, and then we can get more scientific. So great example. I've been sick lately, and I've been severely dehydrated, which is absolutely my fault, because sometimes when you're sick, you don't focus on what you should be doing. You know what I mean? But what people don't realize is dehydration is a lot more serious than just not being dehydrated. Your synapses don't connect very well anymore. The signals don't send through your body very well. We don't have, when you're dehydrated and your organs actually start to get a little bit shriveled up, you're not processing anymore. It's crazy how dehydration alone. So imagine if we're hydrating with something that's actually healthy for us. Woo!
Yeah, that's why I was kind of comparing it to, the deuterium depleted water to the pyramid water, because both of them, they have a softer mouth feel. You could definitely feel it hydrating your body a lot more.
And I was just going to mention, I think there's what you're doing is going to be exceptionally helpful in this. I believe it all works symbiotically together.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
For sure. Well, another thing I wanted to touch on real quick. I was watching a video, and I can't for the life of me remember which one it was that you were in, but you had said, and it really resonated with me. You said they meaning like the globalists, the elite, okay, that they're using us to manifest their destinies because they can't do it themselves. And we have to claim our sovereignty as a collective. So can you touch on that a little bit?
I will. So on the platform you're right now, YouTube, I said, I didn't even verbalize it. I had a graphic that I posted on my YouTube channel at the time, right? And I had a significant subscribership, so maybe it mattered. I don't know. It said, manifest your destiny, we the people won. And it ran for 15 seconds with no audio. They deleted my channel. They didn't give me a warning. I didn't have strikes. They deleted my channel. Now, in full disclosure, I did a legal appeal to show them how this is going to cost them a lot of money. And they actually apologized, believe it or not, and put that channel back up. Now, they later on, deleted me a few times and everything else for other reasons. But why that's important is if their knee-jerk reaction was to delete my channel because of saying manifest your destiny, they're afraid of that, right? So I started to give some thought to it and do a little investigation. And we all know they're spellcasters. That's who the baddies are. When I say they're, right, the baddies are spellcasters, and they do everything they can to mess with their minds. But I try to think, I'm like, I wonder if they are using us. So, of course, I started to look at the messages that they're putting out there. So they have a lot of predictive programming. They have a lot of social conditioning. They have a lot of scare tactics and using fear. And if anybody knows, is when you're in fear or when you worry about something, you're literally manifesting what you worry about. So then it hit me, because I hear myself say, when you worry, you manifest. When you worry, you manifest. I go, wow, this is what they're doing. So sure enough, I started looking at their messages. The baddies are using us because they can't do it themselves. They don't have the power to manifest, right? But they know if they could use us to manifest for them, they will. So it's constant scare tactics. It's the movies that they produce. It's the predictive programming, the social engineering, the MK Ultra, all of that stuff they use cohesively so they can manifest the world that they want. So if we know that, and this is one of the reasons why I'm so strong on truth two of positivity. If we know that is what they do, just stop. Just say, I will not give them that power. I hold the power within myself. So collectively, we win. So the key is we have to resonate in positivity all the time. If you feel fear, I get it. Feel it for 5 seconds, let it go and move past it. Mm-hmm. Right. So I just think that if we know what their strategy is, they will be ineffective in accomplishing their goals.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, it is sorcery. They've been using tools that they've been hiding from us for a long time. That's why they burnt the witches, that's why they are after people like us to be quiet, because they are powerful. Everything, Ouija boards, pendulums, the pyramids, they're all tools that can be used for good and bad. The intention behind them is what powers them. Mm-hmm. And they can definitely be hijacked as well. If you're a spiritual healer and you're using your tools, healing other people, some of their darkness can attach to your tools as well, which, one of our customers actually experienced herself. So you need to be aware of that. And manifestations, we are powerful. We are so powerful. Manifesting, healing ourselves. Our body knows how to heal itself. Like, why are we going to man to heal ourselves when our body was designed to do it ourselves? We have to reconnect to those powers again. And, tools like the Stargate Pyramid, you can really manifest things like crazy. You need to be very mindful of your thoughts when you sit inside of it, because it's like jumping ahead of the line to place your order. They're going to manifest like that.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. A question I had for clarification, Louis, you said earlier that they cannot manifest on their own. I think I heard you say.
Yeah.
Could you go into that a bit more?
This is my belief system. Okay. So I theorize a lot based on my opinion. So I know there's a lot of people out there that state things as fact. And then I ask them, okay, how'd you get the fact? Just be honest. You're making an opinion, which is fine. Right. Mm-hmm. So I don't think they hold much power. I believe the good guys. Let's say we're the good guys and everybody watching the good guys. I believe that when our pineal gland and our pituitary system is clean, right, and our heart is pure, I believe we can virtually manifest, create anything we want. We can remote view, we can see other things, we can speak without talking. I think that's just absolutely incredible. And so many people say you can go as far as flying, who knows? But my point being is, I don't think those witches have those powers. So what they do is they spend virtually all their resources in suppressing us. That's why they jack with our water. That's why they mess with our food. That's why they have all these satanic messages coming at us all the time, is because their goal is to suppress our wonderful God-given abilities. That's in my opinion. So, but the reason why they do it is because they're not creative. They don't have the ability to do it themselves, but they're smart. And we have to be honest about it. They're highly intelligent. So what they do is they use us, their slaves, to do their work for them.
Yeah. That makes sense. So as you're talking about that, what came to mind was that we are powered by our souls. They sold their soul. They're soulless. They don't have that power to manifest anymore.
Absolutely beautiful. I would completely agree with that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Did you have anything else to touch on that subject, Charlie?
Well, I was just going to say, I think I brought it up on the Truth-a-Thon that, I recently discovered a pyramid actually in one of Nick Alvear's documentaries that was used in the Maidan coup in 2014. They put it up in the square and they programmed it to incite riots or violence. And, it's there. So it's just a classic example that, this technology, unfortunately, can be used for good or for bad. So we just have to be aware of that. But if you're using it for meditation, you're intending, good things for all concerned, they're going to happen right away. There's no doubt. So yeah, it's fascinating stuff. So, well, I guess, we may be about out of time here for our segment. Is there anything else, Lewis, that you'd like to talk about before we finish up here today?
No, I mean, I see a very, very bright outlook for us. It's like I feel like I've already seen the finish line, and I don't claim to have any power or ability, and it's fantastic. That we just need to do the work to get there. That's the way. If we want to reap the harvest, we need to ante up and kick in together. The good news is the evil is a very small percentage of our universe, very small percentage. And when we realize that we actually hold the power, they're done. So we just have to get the word out and get enough people resonating in positive energy without this fear factor that we hold the power, and then they're done. They're gone. They're literally, they can't do it anymore. And it sounds very simple, but guess what? It is that simple. It's a numbers game.
It sounds simple, but it seems really hard for people because it's just everywhere you look, it's fear, 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 death, 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 poison, poison, poison. And just stepping over that into, out of the fear of that is so powerful as a human being for somebody to do. Yeah. It's like somebody fighting mental illness their entire life and just all of a sudden waking up someday and they're healed.
They realize that they have the control all of a sudden.
Yes, exactly. It is simple because it is a simple turnaround of thought, but it's really hard as well. And that's why I spoke of, how to fight a spiritual war, because people are constantly bombarded with all this bad stuff that's going on in the world. But during your Truth-a-Thon, I thought that would be a good topic to touch. What can we do? Yep. And those little things that we learned from the Truth-a-Thon, from the Truth Tour, that's going to help us be able to step out of the fear. Educating yourself will help you step out of the fear. So you're doing an amazing thing. I think on Rumble the other day, I saw the replay of the Truth-a-Thon. I couldn't get on because so many people were watching it, but there were over, I think, 48,000 views. And that just happened on the 10th,
Right. Yeah, it's resonating with people big time.
Yes,
fact,
for sure.
If even if somebody doesn't want tickets for the Truth Tour, I believe in the upper right-hand corner, they could click on the Truth-a-Thon, which is free. It's already up. And that will go to that 13 and a half hours of video. But the good news for you, everybody, is all the speakers are listed there in the description with a timestamp. So if you want to skip around to somebody, but I would say listen to the whole 13 hours if you can, because the feedback we're getting from that is just absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah. And, oh, go ahead, Charlie.
No, I was just going to say, Lewis, on Truth Tour 2, are you going to have a option for watching all of the virtuals as you did on Truth Tour 1?
Yeah. So on this Truth Tour, it's actually even going to be easier. So there's an option if you just want to watch one, like it's $17. That's it, right? If you want to watch, I think if the LA is the big event, it may be $49, and all the 17 events are only $98.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
So, and that's anywhere, you can watch from Australia if you'd like to. That being said, I know my team gets frustrated with me because I say this a lot, but if for some reason you're living paycheck to paycheck or on Social Security or a fixed income, and as soon you got excited about this, and as soon as I said it's going to cost a little money and it hurts your heart, Don't worry about that. Just go to the truthtour.net, click on contact, and there'll be a text message, and we'll see what we can do to help you out. I don't believe, there's a contact form also if you want to email us, I think. Here's the reality is, I don't believe anybody should miss the truth or this type of event for their finances. Now, obviously this cost me over $200,000. So it's scary for me to put this type of thing out. And, I was in the hole the first one. Hopefully I could break even on this one. So if you have abundance, or if you have enough to buy a ticket, great, or donate, that's fine too. But I want you to know, if you're watching this and for some reason your finances aren't where you feel like you can even get a $17 ticket to watch one event, just get a hold of us. We'll find a way that we can get it to you. I'm not looking to take your last dollar or take food off your plate. That's not the goal here.
That's awesome. Your team would have been mad at me because I was going to bring that up too. That's so generous of you to do.
And it's not that they're not awesome. My team is awesome, but
yes,
they are so loyal and looking out for me all the time. They're like,
Yes.
you need the money.
Yeah.
But so that's why they're amazing people. So they're just looking out for me. But
Well, we're going to manifest a lot of abundance your way. Everything's going to be covered. It's going to be a great tour. I'm sure you're resonating with so many people and doing such good for the world. If you guys are out there and you want to support the truth and you want the world to be the peaceful, loving place that it's supposed to be, support Lewis and his team, support the Truth Tour if you can. And then when you do sign up for the videos, the live, if you're going to go in live or if you're going to buy a ticket, just make sure that you tell them that the Stargate Pyramids recommended you as well or inspired you to watch this.
Absolutely, because I want to know who's referring everybody. So I appreciate you mentioning that.
Yeah, and share away. Share this video. Get as much of the Truth Tour information out there that you can, everybody. Even if you can't attend, that's the least that you can do. It's going to help immensely. Just one share, maybe 10 people will buy a ticket, and it's really going to support what's supposed to happen in this world. We are all manifesting this reality together.
Sure.
We are. And
Yeah.
I have two phenomenal people I'm talking to right now about that. So I appreciate it.
Oh, that's great.
Well, thank you so much, Lewis.
One last question. I guess I know that you are the first to admit you have no franchise on inside knowledge of current events and so forth. But what do you see? I see this building to a fever pitch now. And where do you see the next 60, 90 days headed?
I do. Now this is a maybe, but the stars are lining up for not to be an election in November, in my opinion. And there's different opinions on there. I know there's other people saying the same thing, but they think the good guys would shut it down. I said, well, either are the good guys or the bad guys, whatever. What I do know, and this is 100%, is there's internal polling going on right now. And so we're used to seeing the polls that the networks put out. Those are never the real polls. That's just total propaganda. The political parties always do internal polling because they need to know where they're at. Right now, I know, and I've heard this, that the Democrats are getting crushed right now. I mean, crushed on a level that they've never seen before. And I'm not talking by Republicans. I'm talking by MAGA type Republicans, people that are more interested in sovereignty than anything else. They understand that if those people get in, they're done. So I believe, based on what I'm hearing with the polling, they may create something to shut down the elections. I don't think they have enough time to throw another sickness at us. I know your platform, so I don't want to say the word, but I don't think they have enough time to throw another sickness at us. But who knows what event that they can create or try to create to shut down those elections. That's all a good thing. I also say if the FBI somehow leaks some information to say like the Southern District of New York or something like that, I think you can see an indictment of Trump and an arrest of Trump. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. Everybody's going to think that's a bad thing. That's a good thing because the proof is in the pudding. When the Russia deal was the Russia was proven false, some normies woke up. When they indicted number one, some normies woke up. When they indicted number two, normies woke up. Through the masks and the lockdowns, more people woke up and more people woke up. When they just raided Mar-a-Lago, way people on the left are like, this is too much. This is way too much. So if they were to arrest Trump or indict him, I think that's going to wake up a slew more people. Doesn't matter if they don't like him, but they're like, whoa, this is way too far. So this is all a good thing. But I do think we're going to have to go through our pain before we get to our pleasure. But let's try to keep our vibes as high as possible during this transition. And that's what it is. Sure. And I think we're going to be in great shape. So I do see an extraordinarily bright future. I do see some turmoil in the future, but these are just my speculations. No, I don't. Sure. I don't have any inside information except, I have talked to some internal polling. I wouldn't say people, but people that know of the internal polling, and it is not looking good for now, let's call it the establishment, not even the Dems. The rhinos are getting crushed too.
Are your polling sources from both parties?
Yeah, well, here's what's interesting. What we're finding out is there's not really two parties, number one.
That's true. I mean, that's true. Yes.
Right. So the polling that we're hearing about, right, and some of it is you can get these signals and these markers in just, believe it or not, the media, right? You can see the panic that's going on. So the polling that they're doing is, it's not really a Democrat versus Republican. It's an establishment candidate versus a non-establishment candidate. And that's what the traction right now of the non-establishment candidates, the we the people type candidates, are absolutely scaring the hell out of the establishment. So we'll see what happens.
So it's not a surprise to see, just to use an example, a Fox News poll and a CNN poll on the, maybe not being all that dissimilar, but the real polls are something else.
Yeah, and even their polls are showing it leaning in. They like to call it leaning red, but there's nothing red about an anti-establishment candidate. We should maybe call that, I don't know, chartreuse. Who knows? Orange. Right. It doesn't magenta. It's not red. It's not red or blue.
Got it.
That's a construct of division that's been located for a long time that I'm trying to move away from, frankly.
Sure. No, that makes sense.
I totally agree with you, Lewis, that it's going to get worse before it gets better. I do feel that it's getting better, though. The more people that wake up, the faster it's going to happen. And that's why, you do what you do. That's why we do what we do, and that's why everybody on the Truth Tour and all the people watching today, you guys do it as well. We just need to, the faster we research, the faster we learn the real truth, the faster our world's going to manifest into what we want it to be.
Yeah. And I would like to leave with you with a couple things. Anybody watching now is, folks, don't use your family and friends as a barometer whether people are waking up or not, because their ego won't allow them to let you know that you were right. And that's what happens in close relationships. So that's normal. So don't even be hurt by that. If you want a barometer of people waking up, start talking to people outside of your circle. And you're going to see that, wow, people are more open to the information than they were 2 years ago. So that's important to know. Eventually the friends and the family members will come around, and they may already be coming around, but the last thing they want to do is let you know that you were right. So
yeah, that's for sure.
So that's just, you just have to understand that ahead of time. And I'd like to leave everybody with this, and I'm very redundant, and I apologize for anybody that's heard me say this 100 times, but it is so important. The cabal uses fear as their fuel. We must understand that. So I like to use an analogy. If there's 2 tank battalions in an actual kinetic war fighting each other, and your enemy runs out of fuel, are you going to take your tanker of diesel fuel and drive it across the battlefield to fill them up?
No.
Or are you going to take advantage of your position? You're definitely not going to fill them up. So if you can somehow resonate with positivity and love and try to get that fear out as quick as possible, just understand that you're fighting the right battle. But when you're in fear and worry all the time, you're literally fueling the cabal. They don't have much left except fear.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And like you said, we were strategically placed where we are in the world, us light workers that feel alone at sometimes, because our family's pulling against us.
Mhm.
But we're intentionally put here for a reason, to shine our light and to wake everyone up around us. It's a hard job, but we can do it.
It is. It's hard work. And the people that are in the most pain by far are the people that are awake. The sleepers don't know what they don't know. And so we have to understand that. And when people start waking up, instead of being the I told you so, there's a shoulder that they should put their head on right there.
Yeah, I believe that. And the people who are suffering with mental illness, they're some of our biggest, strongest light workers. They're suffering because they know the world shouldn't be what it is now, and once they wake up and grab their power, oh my gosh, there's no stopping us.
Yeah. We were having a standby generator installed in our house this morning. It was final installation in case things get bad. And I did talk to the two guys who were installing the unit today and just sort of hinted around to see what they were totally awake. They were so happy to hear somebody in suburbia saying the stuff that they wanted to hear, so I guess that's right. That's the way you have to do it. So
it's beautiful.
Do you have any final question? Do you have any simple suggestions for people who have family, friends that they would like to wake up? How do you approach a family member who hasn't talked to you for the last 2 years because of COVID or how do you bring them around?
Wow, I'm the best and the worst person to ask for this because I have two of my daughters have completely disowned me. One's already changed her last name because I'm a domestic terrorist from January 6th.
Yeah.
So I'm a domestic terrorist, guys, guilty. So anyways, so I would say the way I do it right now is two ways. Number one, I use extraordinary patience. Right. And I have a belief that everybody will come back into the fold eventually. So you just have to be patient. I also live on a different length of time than most people. Most people live in their 100-year construct. I believe that our life is infinite. Right. So if this 100 years that I live in would just be a very small blip on the radar, I don't get too excited or too upset about anything that goes on here. Right. That helps me stay a little even keel. But to answer the question, what I do a lot is I seed now. I ask questions, little teeny questions, and I let it resonate. Because one thing I've learned is you can ask somebody a question. They may not give an answer to you that's the truth, but guess what? They always answer it inside their head truthfully.
Yes.
And that's what matters. The ego that we have requires them to tell us the truth. And we get upset when we're not told the truth. But if your goal is just to help somebody wake up, ask them a little question. Did you know that the CDC now just says the what is virtually the same effective as not getting it at all?
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Just been listed on,
that's it.
List. Yeah.
So you just ask that question. They have to answer the question themselves.
Right.
Yeah. Even if you crack the door a little bit, it's going to come swinging open full force sooner or later.
I'm telling you, I've been planting seeds for years and I can see them maturating. People come back to me. I had a pharmacist of all things, because I've tried to have these conversations with him, came back to me a few months ago and he goes, hey, what do you know about Ukraine, of all things, right? And I woke him up and it made sense to him. Tomorrow, in fact, in the morning at, I think it's 10, I forgot what time, I have a breakfast with a mayor he was a mayor for a long time in a city nearby. and he's very, very well respected. And he called me up last week. He goes, Lewis, I know you know a lot of stuff. We need to sit down and talk. So, and he was incredibly asleep. He's a Republican, but that means nothing. And that's how I broke the ice with him. Is I had a conversation, and he just like, wow, it just hit him. And then so he called me this week and asked to have, so yes, we can plant those seeds. And that's all I did with him, is I just planted little seeds in these people, and they're coming back. So, but guys, it takes a lot of patience. If you want to try to wake up somebody by truth barfing on them, good luck.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they just will run away.
Yeah. And it's frustrating to you too. You know, it just frustrates you more than anything, because you know it resonates with you so strongly. And yeah, I was there. I'm over that now.
Yeah. No, we all been there. I mean, do I want to lead the conversation with child trafficking? 100%.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't, it's too much for them to handle.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
I remember when I first learned about the child trafficking, I didn't want to believe it. I didn't look into it at first. And then a couple of weeks later, I finally decided to delve into it. And one night I was getting ready to go to sleep. And as soon as I laid in my bed and closed my eyes, I was taken right into the tunnels with the children. And I could just feel all the pain and agony that they suffered. And it was so overwhelming. Like it could have literally caused someone to commit suicide. It was just,
Absolutely.
you know, and it was, luckily I was strong enough to pull myself back out of that, but it was just that alone fuels my fire to do what I'm doing. That alone really is the only thing that's fueling my fire, because nobody deserves that.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
Especially the innocents, you know?
Well, since you're saying this, I don't have much inside information or intel, but I will give a little piece that may help people. And I like to tell people I'm not the intel guy. I don't build my platform on these secret, you know, black shadowy people coming and telling me information. Because honestly, it's mainly bullshit when people tell you that. But I do have a little. I talked to a guy, a special forces guy, and what he does is he's actually runs, it's interesting, he has a laptop, so everybody else is fighting around him, and he has a laptop, and he's coordinating troop movement and other things that are going on with the enemy the whole time. So his head's down. It's actually a pretty dangerous position. He told me straight up, he says, well, he didn't tell me straight up, I had to ask him questions, and then he would nod to me and so on and so forth. But anyways, in Hollywood, underneath Hollywood, there are tunnels. He says they're cleared, which is great. Unfortunately, he did say that he did see chains on the wall many times that were the height of children. And that was very saddening to me. But at the same time, he says we're making a lot of progress. The biggest struggle they're having, though, or had, this was a while ago. So, you know, this is about a year and a half ago. The biggest struggle they've had is keeping the emotional wherewithal of their troops in order while they've been fighting this battle. It's been extraordinarily tough on them. Yep. He said that's the hardest. He says the battle's hard, all the coordinating is hard, getting ahead of it is hard, dealing with some weapons that we've never seen before is hard. But he said the hardest part is keeping everybody's emotions in check, because it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. The one thing I want to leave with is, you know, it's what I talked about during your Truth-a-Thon. We are in the midst of a spiritual war, but please don't feel that you're alone ever, because once we transition from Earth to the spiritual world, we are way more powerful over there than we could ever imagine being. We have an entire team of spirits living on the other side that are wielding swords, waiting to join this fight. And all they're doing is they're waiting for us to ask for help. So just do that simple task. Ask them to help us. Ask them to guide us. And, you know, that alone will enhance our power even more. It's just, and strengthen you and give you the strength to step out of the fear and help your family and your friends evolve with us as well, you know?
Yeah, that's extraordinary advice.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Lewis. It was so great to have you. We were honored that you spent some time with us today. And I know you're just getting over being sick and you have a busy time ahead of you. So we're going to send lots of love and energy and healing your way with you and your whole entire team. You know, Denise, Sean, Doug, everybody. We love you all. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Have a good one, everyone. Thanks for
Thank
being
you,
with us
Louis.
today.
Thanks, Charlie. You guys take care. I'll see you soon.
All right.